Hey, welcome back everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about 5 main benefits to drawing comic book pages. So first off, this is a page from the comic God Ring. I'll link everything in the description box below. Please check it out and support it if you don't mind. Happy and honored to be part of the project. So first things first, comic pages challenge us in ways that fan art and pinups cannot. Obviously, whenever you go to draw storytelling, you are going to have to develop a plethora of ideas. A lot of things you're not going to be ready for, right? You're just going to think, okay, whatever happens, happens. But then you got to take it from a script, like from roughs to refinements to inks to, well, in this case, I'm doing the whole process. So sometimes you'll just be the pencil, other times you'll do pencils and inks. And there's just a variety of things you're going to run into. And so you're going to get challenged every step of the way. Not only is it a very lengthy process, again, anything and everything will get thrown onto your plate at a moment's notice. And so various suit designs, various perspectives, different body proportions, maybe things that you're good at drawing, some things that you're not so good at drawing. Like you just got to make it work. I tend to look at it like it's a very complex puzzle. And even though as artists we're pretty good at puzzles, right? And there's just a lot of different pieces that you've got to bring together at any given time and keep a very open mind and a creative, outlook on the process so that you can move forward and get it done in some sort of timely fashion. Which brings me to benefit number 2. By doing page work, you get a real approximation of what your project will take you and or how much to charge for the work. So I typically go into this stuff with a very optimistic view of my own skill set, I guess, because I tend to think I can do these pages much faster. Now, as I've mentioned in other videos, Procreate tracks the time that you spend on each document, and so it's a real wake-up call, right? So I thought maybe on this page that I spent, 10, 12 hours. I think that realistically going in, I thought I could complete these pages in 8 to 10 hours, right? And maybe over time I will be able to. But this page actually took me 22 hours of my life that I'll never get back. No, I love every minute of it. But the thing is that if you're going to work with people, and even if you're going to do your own project, you need some sort of realization as to what it really takes, right? If you're going to charge hourly, you definitely need to know that. But if you're going to even do your own comic, you don't want to sit there and tell people that, hey, this thing's going to be done in a month and it takes you 3. Right, so by doing page work, it gives you that real world information that you need to know about yourself to make the hard decisions and truths, and to just manage your expectations. I would rather people do a page or 2, gauge that amount of time, know what it's going to take to do 5 pages, knock out some short stories, whatever you got to do, or do them in 5-page increments to get to that 22-page book or whatever it is your goal is. But again, if you know that about yourself, you go into it with a lot more of a realistic expectation and hopefully therefore are more likely to meet your goal. And so number 3, you learn to work with clients and scripts, which is a huge set of skills on to itself. And so working with clients, you're going to learn social skills. You're going to figure out, what people want from you and when they message you, what their expectations are, how quick they are to respond, and how they respond when you make changes, how you respond when they want to make changes, right? There is a lot of back and forth and a lot of self-discovery as you do this, because it's not the easiest thing in the world, but how easy you make it for your client will determine whether or not you're called back on other projects, if they talk about you in a positive way to other people. And not every project is going to be right for you. So you're not going to be the same person to work with on every project. I think that there's a lot of opportunities for miscommunication, unfortunately. But the more that you can go into it with the idea that, you're lucky to be where you're at and you're doing the thing that you want to be doing, this is what you signed up for, and that you will try to bridge the gap. Because again, some clients will be just as pleasant as pie, and other ones, you're just not going to be on the same wavelength. Now, I got a lot of experience with this already before comics because I did storyboards. I worked with agents there. Before that, I ran a sign and graphic shop for 15 years. So I literally have dealt with probably 1,000 clients or more. I don't even know how many, but hundreds, if not thousands. So And the difference with the sign stuff is I was there in front of a computer going through the design process with them in person, but you learned a lot of social skills there. The tricky part about comics, if you work out of a home studio like I do, chances are you're working with somebody through the internet. And text and writing leaves a lot out from the conversation. And maybe it's you do some Zoom calls and stuff like that. There's other ways to bridge the gap. But what happens is it's a lot more likely to fall into miscommunication, I think. So you got to be very careful and make sure that you, again, go into it with this idea of, well, I'm going to do my best to be as easy to work with as possible. Because one of the stories you'll hear, and I've heard this from many artists as I've listened to interviews over the years and stuff like that, when I was trying to research and learn this stuff for myself, is they would kind of talk about the people that were super talented, but then you'd hear their voice change when they talked about the ones that were hard to work with. And I always thought that was very interesting. Like, you can be very, very talented, but if you're a jerk, I think that only goes so far. I would much rather work with somebody that is kind and forgiving and open-minded and, hopefully still very talented and skillful. But at the same time, I don't care how awesome your art is. If you're a jerk, I'm not calling you back. So I try to think about that when I work with other people. I want to make sure that I put my best foot forward and that I give them the benefit of the doubt and that I try to help them as much as possible. But, at a certain point, you also can't victimize yourself and you got to, obviously have boundaries. But at the same time, how are people going to talk about you when the job is done? That word of mouth will determine whether or not you get more work. So always keep that in mind. All right, number 4, nothing teaches us more about storytelling than actually drawing the stories. Newsflash there, right? But it is. It's the way it is. Like, by doing these stories, by working through it step by step with a writer, with some, person or persons that are helping you to figure this out and add this, take away that, you just get so much experience so fast. Every page teaches me at least one major thing, if not 10 multiple things. It's just so much going on there that you're just a lot more likely to come out the other side of each page with so much more knowledge. And because of that, it's almost like there's no other way except the process. There's no other way to really get great at this, I think, other than doing the work. Like, I like to share how-to videos. I like to teach as much of each component as I can to as many people as I can. It's the way I learned with YouTube videos and art books. Never, formally went to school, any of that. Like, so I just, I love giving back in the same way that I learned. It all started with like Wizard magazines and, videos from David Finch and stuff like that, and interviews from Todd McFarlane and all them guys with Stan Lee. It was just amazing stuff, right? So I love making that same sort of information and giving back. But that being said, really the only way through to what you want is to knock out pages. I really believe that. Like, as much as I love drawing fan art and doing whatever, as soon as I sit down to draw pages, I realize it is a whole nother deep end of the pool. And again, that variety that you're going to experience page to page is going to teach you so much more. And for number 5, each page you complete will add to your self-confidence as an artist. I know, it probably sounds a bit cheesy, right? But I battle with this, and I hope you don't. But every page I go into, I'm met with a little bit of worry and self-doubt. A little bit of anxiety, I guess. And that's unfortunate. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's this horrible thing. I think that anytime you truly care about something that you're creating, you're probably likely going to face a little bit of that. And when it's something as uncertain as a blank page to a fully page rendered story and series of pages that sequentially have to tell a story, there's a lot of ideas that can come into your mind and go, man, can I make this work? Can I make this look really good? You have to make certain compromises all through the process. I can't redraw every single thing until it's perfect. So I have to let go of the idea of perfection. But I'll tell you what, as scary as some of that might have sounded, and forgive me if it did, it's so exciting in the way that every time you complete a new page, not only did you learn a lot, you gain confidence in yourself to go, whoa, if I did one, I could do 5. And then you knock out 5. And you go, wow, if I can do 5, I can do a whole book. If I can do a whole book, I can do a whole series. And that is powerful, right? There is nothing more powerful than that realization that you can complete more and more, and you can stack the bricks that form your own castle, right? It just, you don't got to do it all at once, but you can keep stacking those bricks. Now, I would call a page of work a lot more than one brick, but at the same time, again, if you prove to yourself that you can do 1, you can do 5. If you can do 5, you can do a whole book, and that's pretty darn cool. So hopefully this video has helped you, and I would love to know what you think. Good luck with your art. Knock out those comics, have some fun, and thanks for watching.